how brutal it is to run a physical business in Xiamen now. A coffee shop owner toiled for 6 years, saving 400,000 yuan, only to lose every cent in just 4 months. A hot pot restaurant boss poured 2 million yuan into renovations over half a year, but within a year, bankruptcy slammed the door shut. 808 Super Live, once the hottest pub in Xiamen, boomed for half a year, then started shutting down as soon as this year began. Roadside shops that used to pull in 100,000 yuan a month now have "for transfer" signs slapped across their windows. I've never seen anything like this in my life, and yet I've witnessed all of it in just this year. Unbelievable. So many abandoned villas in Xiamen that it feels surreal. The current state of this city is grim. Massage parlors and footbath shops are empty, the once bustling pedestrian streets are nearly deserted. Even beef noodle vendors complain. People are skimping on the beef. And it's not just them. I run a car beauty film shop in Tong'an, and before, customers wanted the best, the priciest. Now they ask for the cheapest option. Just okay, with a bit of a discount. Even my steep group buying deals this year hardly moved. What on earth has happened to Xiamen? When people think of Fujian, what pops up first are dreamy islands and rich Nanyang charm. All of that glory points to one place, Xiamen, the garden on the sea. Mention Xiamen, and people barely even remember the provincial capital, Fuzhou. Xiamen became the face of Fujian. As a special economic zone, Xiamen is the only city in China whose administrative rank exceeds that of a provincial capital. But as China's economy falters, Xiamen's downturn is plain to see. Strange, never-before-seen phenomena are surfacing here. Today, let's uncover the truth behind Xiamen's decline. It's shocking. Who would have thought even teachers in Xiamen couldn't hang on? I saw online that policies for public institutions are tightening. At first, I thought it was just rumors, until a teacher came to consult me about an office fund. That's when I realized it's real. Salary cuts in many sectors have reached 20% to 30%, and it's not labeled as a pay cut. They're canceling subsidies to quietly slash income. Is Xiamen really still home to 5.3 million people? Where did they all go? Look at MixC, the flagship mall. It's dead quiet. Even the road outside the railway station is oddly empty of both people and cars. Let me show you the raw reality of Xiamen's so-called economy. Xiamen's bitter truth in 2025. First, population flight. After Chinese New Year, most workers vanished, heading home or migrating to cities like Hangzhou. Second, the rental market collapsed. Demand dried up, and even cheap rents can't fill rooms. As island urban villages were cleared, the working class disappeared. Third, physical businesses are suffocating. Rents in good spots soared while bad spots rot empty. Malls change hands nonstop. Even Wanda has folded. Fourth, tourism has died down. Visitor numbers have plummeted and the once thriving sector is now stagnant. Despite falling home prices, locals still can't afford to buy. Fifth, consumption downgrade. People are scrimping like never before. Subways replace Didi, young folks can't find jobs, and Xiamen's lack of high-paying careers and a shrinking service sector means the city simply can't hold its people anymore. The current situation in Xiamen is truly shocking. This is no longer the Xiamen we knew just a few years ago. Strange and unsettling signs are everywhere. Every industry seems to be struggling badly this year. Jobs are getting harder to find. Salaries are shrinking. Office spaces sit empty because so many people are out of work. Yet monthly loan payments remain relentless. New home sales are stagnant. The second-hand housing market looks bleak, and even talent housing is starting to go vacant. Have you noticed the explosion of Didi drivers and food delivery riders lately? Even construction workers are heading back to their villages early because there's simply no work left. So tell me, how are you holding up in Xiamen? The alleys that once buzzed with life now echo with silence. The wave of shutdowns among cultural and creative shops is heartbreaking. Some can't even find anyone to take over at any price. Night markets are ghost towns. Half the stores on once bustling pedestrian streets have shuttered their doors. Guys, today I went to Wanda in Xiamen to do some market research. I expected to see the usual crowds, but what I saw shocked me. The streets were deserted, countless physical shops were closed, and even Golden Street felt lifeless. I walked through it all, rows of vacant storefronts up for rent, clothing stores and gold shops that used to be packed are now empty, restaurants that once had lines out the door now struggle to fill even a few tables. From what I've learned, weekday customer flow is so bad that some shops see fewer than 10 people per day. Weekends are only slightly better, most are just barely hanging on. Tell me, when will physical businesses bounce back from this? Xi'an has become so low profile it's painful to witness. Just yesterday I overheard some tourists talking about Xi'an. They said it's so tiny, just a little island, not even as big as one Beijing district. They even mocked its outdated cityscape and lack of tall buildings, but honestly, they've got it all wrong. Many people only see Xiamen through the lens of tourism. They only visit the island. But the island has just 2 districts, Siming and Huli. There's so much more to this city than people realize. Xiamen has built a brand new city, but netizens say it feels eerily empty, like a giant city without people. So let's take a closer look. On the other side lies this new development, covering 35 square kilometers, with a planned population of 350,000, averaging 10,000 people per square kilometer. It's all neatly designed and polished. The newly built Riverside Park looks beautiful, the environment is amazing, but hardly anyone comes. It feels like a show city with no audience. This is what the urban villages outside Xiamen Island look like now. It's 8 a.m. Normally this hour would be packed with workers rushing to start their day. But this year, the streets are empty, businesses are shuttered, and the place feels frozen in time. It doesn't look anything like an urban village in a special economic zone. Everything is quietly screaming one truth: far fewer people are coming to Xiamen. Honestly, Xiamen is stunning, but the wages here are anything but, and prices? They're painfully high. For some, Xiamen is home, a place they can't let go of. For others, it's just another city they came to for survival. Today, I visited Alohai City Plaza in Haikang District, Xiamen, and it broke my heart. This place used to be alive. Crowds everywhere, voices, laughter, joy. On weekends or weekdays, it was always buzzing. But now, a shadow of its former self. I walked around the plaza and barely saw a soul. Restaurants that once had long lines now have more employees than customers. Clothing stores are ghosted. Hardly anyone even steps inside. Some Xiamen netizens say it feels like the sky is falling. There are fewer and fewer people walking the streets. Instead, what you see are more delivery drivers and couriers racing around to make ends meet. Wages keep sinking. It's getting harder and harder just to survive. The current situation in Xiamen is a bit scary. All industries are suffering badly this year. Finding a job feels harder than reaching the sky. And even if you're lucky enough to get hired, the salary is a far cry from what it used to be. The pedestrian streets that were once packed shoulder to shoulder are now lined with shuttered stores. Even large shopping malls have fallen, unable to survive. Some business owners mortgaged their homes and cars just to keep going, but eventually gave up and shut down. More and more people I know are losing their jobs, yet their mortgage and car loans won't shrink by a single cent. They're barely making ends meet. Xiamen's economy is spiraling downward. Can you imagine this? In the past, it was nearly impossible to rent a school district house near a top high school. If you wanted a place to stay for your kids' education, you had to book it a month early, or forget about it. Rent for a basic 2-bedroom apartment ranged from 3,000 to 4,000 yuan and was still snapped up fast. But just now my friend called. She rented a place near the school in just 1 hour. She said there were so many empty units now. No one is renting them anymore. Shock. China slaps a 74.9% tariff on American polyoxymethylene copolymers. The U.S. and China are preparing to negotiate tariffs. Out of nowhere, China slammed down anti-dumping duties on palm copolymers from the EU, the U.S., Japan, and Taiwan, with the U.S. hit hardest at a staggering 74.9%. On Sunday, May 18th, the Chinese Ministry of Commerce declared the so-called anti-dumping investigation on palm copolymers is officially over. Their verdict? Palm copolymers from the EU, the US, Japan, and Taiwan are dumped goods. and crushing anti-dumping duties kick in from the 19th. The U.S. faces the sharpest blow, a massive 74.9% tariff. Europe gets hit with a hefty 34.5% tax. Japanese products face a steep 35.5% tax overall, but Asahi Kasei Corp scored a slightly softer corporate tax rate of 24.5%. Taiwanese goods were slapped with a 32.6% anti-dumping duty, yet Formosa Plastics and Polyplastics Taiwan managed to dodge most of the pain with lower rates of 4% and 3.8% respectively. The CCP's year-long investigation into copolymer polyoxymethylene ended abruptly with these explosive results, raising eyebrows everywhere. On May 12, the US and China stunned the world by announcing a temporary deal to slash tariffs by 15% for 90 days. Now, both sides are gearing up for high-stakes structural negotiations. President Trump fired off bold claims that the CCP promised to fully open the market to America and crack down on fentanyl. He warned, if no deal is reached in 90 days, tariffs on China will be substantially increased, but capped below 145%. The 90-day tariff truce between the U.S. and China now hangs by a thread, as Beijing's latest move to impose a crushing 74.9% tariff on American polyoxymethylene copolymers reveals a blatant breach of promises. If China refuses to honor its commitments, the fragile ceasefire could erupt into a full-blown trade war. Markets and industries brace for the fallout. Higher tariffs would slam supply chains and send shockwaves through global trade. The ticking clock is set to unleash chaos if diplomatic talks collapse. This looming tariff showdown could trigger an unprecedented escalation, igniting tensions not seen in years. Washington's warning is clear. Failure to deliver on reforms means tariff hikes capped only just below 145%, a nightmare for manufacturers and exporters. China's defiance risks isolating itself further on the world stage, inviting severe economic retaliation. As the 90-day countdown ends, businesses worldwide hold their breath, fearing the worst is yet to come. The world watches a trade war brinkmanship that could reshape global power dynamics forever.